During the course of our lives, each of us will face personal hardships. Sometimes the drama is fleeting and we overcome it. Other times its sustainability can overcome us. Such adversity knows no age, it knows no color. It does not discriminate. How we deal with adversity, not success, is what defines us. In its own sinister way, adversity provides an opportunity for growth and character, the potential to boost our innate moral qualities and unleash our spiritual potential, assuming we accept its challenges. A little over 4 years ago, I visited with a family that faced a daunting challenge. Logan Miceli, an incredibly inspirational young boy who battled HLHS, a congenital heart condition that required 3 open-heart surgeries, had successfully completed 2 of the procedures and was scheduled for the 3rd in the spring of 2017. Constant monitoring of Logan was required. Blood tests and treatment plan adjustments were a way of life. Even eating was an unnatural thing, as Logan received most of his nourishment via a feeding tube administered every 3 hours around the clock. Although he was making progress, eating more by mouth, he never really enjoyed the pleasure of a great-tasting meal. Yet guided by an uncommon strength, especially for a toddler, Logan embraced the fight with a smile. And he won. He won! With equally uncommon parental devotion, the Micelis were well on their way to a great outcome for Logan's HLHS. In fact, he was thriving. A near-normal life that they all had hoped for and prayed for so long was finally theirs. Imagine the thrill of victory for this young family. But the celebration of this new lease on life was fleeting, snatched away by another more daunting force than the heart defects. Just as Lauren and Mike prepared to enroll Logan in pre-K 3, they learned that their precious son, after 2.5 years of steady progress and normal childhood development, was diagnosed with a deadly form of AML leukemia, something that usually afflicts older adults. Johns Hopkins Hospital had never seen a case like Logan's. The victory that was seemingly theirs escaped the Micelis. The best of modern medicine was unable to save Logan. In just a little over a month, he left us on March 2nd, 2016. Words of comfort are hard to find when a loss like this rocks your faith to the core. We're left seeking fairness while trying to understand why God would take such a precious soul. Such losses have no explanation, no logic. Faith, the belief in something for which there is no proof, is challenging enough. But faith has never been about logic. It never will be. Shortly after Logan's passing, I had the opportunity to speak with Lauren to express my condolences. I hoped to comfort her, yet it was Lauren who comforted me. She explained how happy and spirited Logan was. She described a boy who found joy in all walks of life. He laughed when she vacuumed her home and accompanied her with a smile as they walked to their backyard to clean up after their dog. Every activity, every breath, no matter how mundane, was a reason to smile. Pictures of the Miceli family were scattered throughout the funeral home for all to see. Each and every one was characterized by peacefulness, joy, and unconditional love. It was as if the pictures cast their own light and dulled the sobering presence of the tiny casket. Lauren was and is strong, her world grounded in faith. During a time when you would expect complete devastation from a young mother and bloodshot eyes ravaged by tears after losing her only child, her eyes were beacons of light. She believes unwaveringly that God brought Logan into the world for a reason and that his loss was purposeful too. It's up to his survivors to determine what that purpose is. Maybe the Micelis have done just that. While Logan fought through the treatments for his illnesses, the Micelis learned of other families who were saddled with living expenses that forced them to make gut-wrenching decisions to leave their ailing young children alone in the hospital. Imagine a scared, confused, innocent child with no family member nearby to console them and help them to understand the reason for painful procedures. The thought alone is heartbreaking, yet it is a reality for many. Families left with no choice due to financial obligations and at times obligations to their other children. To assist such families, the Micelis founded Logan's Never Be Alone Foundation shortly after Logan's passing. It's a nonprofit foundation that aims to provide financial assistance to hospital parents so that they may comfort their children and be more involved in their everyday medical care. Back then, the Micelis said that they would measure the foundation's success by the number of empty chairs beside ailing children. Through their fundraising efforts, they hope for fewer empty chairs next to the hospital beds of fearfully alone children and more parents able to be present for snuggling and comfort. Today, over 4 years later, we're checking in on Logan's Never Be Alone Foundation. What an incredible story this is about Logan Miceli. And it's now 4 years later, and Logan's parents, Lauren and Mike, have invited us into their home to talk about the foundation and where it is today. So with that, I'd like to introduce the incredible parents of Logan, Lauren and Michael Miceli. How are you guys?
Good, we're great. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So talk about the foundation. It's just an amazing story, so heartfelt, and how selfless you guys have been with this. So what inspired it, and how is the foundation, where is it in these days?
Sure, absolutely. So what inspired the foundation is our son, Logan, who, as a 2-year-old, was always very empathetic of other people's needs. For example, there was a snowstorm one winter, and he heard a bird chirping outside, and he was only 2 years old, and he asked if the bird could come inside our house and live, because he could tell that the bird was cold. Little things like that. At dinner, if he noticed someone's glass was empty, he would say, "Dad, I need more water." He was just a very rare child in the fact that most 2-year-olds aren't super empathetic to other people's needs. We took him to see a tree being cut down one day because he loved, chainsaws and power tools. We thought he would love it, and he said, poor tree. And we thought, oh wow, he's just this very kind-hearted, sweet, empathetic child. So we knew that the needs of others were always, something that he was thinking about. So after he passed away from leukemia, and during the time that he was in the hospital, we did come across a lot of other families, a lot of parents. We overheard conversations in the waiting room about financial struggles that these parents were having. Are you going to go to work? Am I going to go to work? Who's going to stay with our, critically ill child? And it was really heartbreaking to think of children having to be alone and face these treatments in the hospital by themselves. So that was just something that we kind of overheard. And after Logan passed away and we were in the funeral home, and they asked us, where would you like people to send donations, or where would you like people to send flowers? It was actually Mike's idea. He said, why don't we create our own foundation? Why don't we create a foundation where we know exactly where the money is going and exactly who these families are that we've witnessed that need this help. So in the spirit of Logan and his very empathetic nature to others, we knew that he would not want other kids to be alone in the hospital, and that they would want their families to be there, and that the best way to help the parents be by the child's bedside is to provide them with some financial means so they can pay their rent, pay their mortgage, so that they can pay their cell phone bill, so they can pay for a babysitter for the other kids at home so they can stay with, this one child in the hospital. So, being able to provide some kind of financial support to those people so that they can feel like, yes, I can take an unpaid leave from work to stay with my child in the hospital and not lose my home because my child is sick. So that's kind of how it all started.
And that's 4 years ago. So talk about how it, has it met your expectations? Has your vision been achieved since you started this whole thing?
It definitely has. We've been very humbled, very overwhelmed by the people that have donated. I mean, whether it's a $5 donation or a $500 donation, every bit really adds up to be able to kind of spread those funds throughout families in the PICU at Johns Hopkins Hospital. Over the past 4 years, we've had such a far reach as far as donations go. We've had donations from Canada, donations from Switzerland. We've had friends, family.
How'd they find out about it?
Word of mouth.
Okay.
If they have a friend here, or if they know a family that was helped and they heard about the foundation and then they decided to donate. So, I mean, it's been a far reach. We've raised and given away over $100,000 in the last 4 years to 15 different families in the PICU at Hopkins, and we've been able to make a significant donation to the Children's Center at Johns Hopkins so that they can help spread out those funds a little bit with parking passes for parents. It's, $12 a day to park in the hospital at Hopkins. It gets expensive. Food vouchers, for families that are literally living in the hospital for sometimes years at a time. I mean, there have been families that we have helped that have been there for 8 months, 9 months, over a year. And I guess it's just not something that the average person thinks about, that there are these families that are literally living there day and night and having to buy meals and pay for parking. And, it really does add up. So.
What kind of ways can people make donations? How do they access Logan's Foundation and make donation or on a regular basis?
Yeah, the best way is just via our website, Logan's Never Be Alone.
It's neverbealonefoundation.com. Yeah, Never Be Alone
Foundation.
Foundation.
There's a link to their PayPal page as well as our address where you can mail a donation in. But the best and easiest way is PayPal, where you can just click, put a credit card in, and do a recurring payment or something like that, or a recurring donation at once a month or once a year. Whatever anybody can afford, we're happy to, take the donation and put it to good use. So, and we're completely, we only get to, I guess the best way to say it is we just need everyone's help to keep donating to families and giving to families. So
right, the foundation can only stay alive really if we continue to get donations, and if mailing a check is easier, there's an address on the website, 3721 Middle River Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland 21220. If they'd rather mail in a check or visit our website, neverbealonefoundation.com.
Now, I know you guys try to have some events and things like that to try to raise money as well. Yeah. Talk about the challenges that COVID-19 has presented and to look into the future and talk about some of the things that you guys are planning to raise even more money for Logan's Foundation.
Yeah, so COVID has certainly put a damper on things, like many people's lives, and especially for the charities in general. We were due to have a spring golf tournament that, we were trying to get organized to do this spring or even a bull roast in the fall. And the running festival is up in the air, which we've done two years of the 4 years we've been in existence. And the running festival, Baltimore Running Festival, has been fantastic. We've had 40 plus runners, donate to the charity and we sponsored, I guess is the best way to put it. And they were able to, so that's been great. But anyway, moving forward, we hope to do, maybe 2 big events a year, which is going to be a spring golf or bull roast, and then the running festival. We'd love to continue doing that just because it's been such a great way of getting funds. But yeah, everything's up in the air, I guess, a little bit now because we don't know if there's going to be a running festival. And we hope next spring to do either a bull roast or a golf tournament. But there's a lot of uncertainty, obviously, with everything in life, and especially with when we can start having larger events. But moving forward, we'll have to adapt a little bit and maybe change that up. But that's the plan as of today, is to do an early spring and always continue doing the running festivals. But 2 key events a year to help bring it in, and then all the small reoccurring donations that we hope that people can contribute just a tiny bit to us.
Yeah, that's very helpful.
Lauren, you mentioned off camera that you guys structure the company that there's very little overhead, and talk about why that's so important for people making donations.
Sure. There's very, very little administrative costs to this foundation. So when you donate, virtually all of your donation is going directly to a grant for a family in the hospital. We don't have a large board. No one on our board is paid. So it's literally virtually all of the donations are going directly to the families that need help.
That's great.
You know where your money's going.
Now, if families want to access the funds, is there a process to go about to become eligible for such funding?
There is. So in order to be eligible for funding, they would have to have a critically ill child in the PICU at Johns Hopkins Hospital. The child would have to have a minimum length of stay of 6 weeks or more. Now, realistically, a lot of the families that we help are in the hospital for 6, 8 months, over a year sometimes. So another qualifying factor is one or both parents or one or both primary caregivers have to have lost a source of income because of their child's illness.
Okay.
So you think about that, and it sounds terrible. Lost income because your child is ill, but it's the reality that we face. So parents have to take unpaid leave, or an employer says, you've taken so much time off, I'm sorry, I can't continue to hold your job. For whatever reason, parents sometimes lose income if they choose to stay with their sick child in the hospital and not go back to work. So it's a gut-wrenching decision to have to make, and that's kind of why we're here, to help subsidize some of their funds so that they can make that choice. I'm gonna stay off work right now and stay with my sick child in the hospital. So it's all about helping children be able to stay with their parents during their illness.
And we're here at Thumbs Up 24/7 because we see this as such a positive, taking a tragic situation and turning it into something positive, and that's a testament to both you and everybody that contributes to the foundation. Any other comments or things you'd like to our listeners and viewers to take note of while we're here?
Absolutely. So the name Logan's Never Be Alone Foundation, it's about children not feeling alone in the hospital, but it's also very much about their parents and their caregivers not feeling alone. Being a parent or a primary caregiver to a critically ill child is a very, very emotionally taxing, scary, sad, frustrating situation. It has its ups and downs. You're on a constant roller coaster, and we just want those parents to know we see them and we understand what they are going through because we've been there. And we want the foundation to remind them that there's a community of people out here that are raising money and praying for them and cheering for them and hoping that they come out of this on the other side with a healthy child. And to be reminded that although they are in such a dire situation right now, there is still so much good and so much kindness that exists in the world.
You guys are amazing. Thanks so much for joining us here on Thumbs Up 24/7. We can't wait to share the story with our viewers.
Thanks
Thank you
having
for
us.
having
Thanks for
us.
joining us.